Great. Well, good day for you, depending on what time of day it is. It could be morning for those out west. It's noon back east, and really excited that you're joining us for the BidExecs Roadshow. We are coming to North Carolina, so we're looking forward to sharing a little bit of information about BidExecs with you. We appreciate your interest and look forward to your feedback. We'll have some time at the end for questions, so as we go along, please keep note of anything that you'd like further information on, and certainly we're happy to follow up with you afterwards as well. I'm Dr. Ben L'Italian, and I'm the Chief Development Officer for BidExecs. And we also have, hopefully you can see if you're online with the video, our founder, Rena Bahati, and we're going to take you on a little tour of BidExecs today. BidExecs is an innovation in franchising. I've been in franchising for 30 years with companies as large as IKEA, Remax, ExxonMobil, and others. But I also work with a lot of emerging brands to bring them to market in powerful ways. And BidExecs is absolutely a new innovation in all of franchising. So that's exciting. We're in a space that I'm assuming most of you on this call are very familiar with, but has never had an intersection with the franchise community. So we are excited to share that with you. It's the first and only franchise opportunity in the bid and professional or proposal contracting space. I am familiar with this space. My wife was a facility security officer for a defense contractor for many years. My son is a cybersecurity specialist for a large defense contractor working on the IRS contract. And I actually helped a good friend of mine when he retired from a distinguished career in the military. He started a service disabled veteran 8A contract business, and over about a 7-year period, worked his way up to a very strong portfolio of contracts and work, multi-million-dollar business model. So I've been in and around this sector. I never imagined actually working in it, but when I met Rena and saw what she had built with Proposal Helper and how we could leverage that platform, all the resources and the tools on a global level into the first ever franchise opportunity, I was really thrilled to lean in and get involved. As I mentioned, I mean, we're really building this off of a decade-long growth of the Proposal Helpers business that Rena will tell you a little bit more about. And we really want to play in this, multi-trillion-dollar sector, government, federal, education, state. Contracting is multi-trillion-dollar in the U.S., let alone on the global scale. And at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is leveraging. That's what franchising is really about, is leverage. Local influence, local know-how, local expertise with unparalleled powerful tools to support you. So that's really what BidExecs seeks to do, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. Let's start though with Rena, and I say a rich heritage. I mean, as a very successful woman-owned CEO in this space, building a very powerful, successful business that serves as really the foundation, the platform that allows us to leverage into this franchise arena. So, Rena, share a little bit about yourself and kind of how we got to this point.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate that. So my name is Rena Bhatia. I'm the founder and CEO of Proposal Helper and also the founder of BidExecs. Proposal Helper, we started in the industry 10 years ago, though I have been in the industry for 25 odd years now, over 25 years. And what we did is when we started Proposal Helper, I started that company with $5,000. And really what I wanted was to create a model that would disrupt this proposal consulting industry. The consultants that are out there, we didn't mean to displace them. We don't want to displace anyone, but we needed to arm them with the right model to go after and scale themselves to service the government contractors. There's a huge need for proposal services, not just for proposal, but business development and proposal services. For those of you who are in the industry, you know the demand. The problem is if you're an independent consultant or you start now trying to get into the space, it is extremely difficult unless you're a known entity. If you're doing everything yourself, you don't have a whole team around you, you will burn your nights, weekends, and burn yourself out very quickly. And while you're servicing one customer, you know the proposal is coming to an end, you're looking for your next gig. So we decided, let's put a model in place to first and foremost support the contracting industry, the government contractors in such a way that they have confidence that their proposal is not at jeopardy. Their business growth is not at jeopardy. So what did that mean? When we created Proposal Helper, it wasn't just me. We put a team together. It was a proposal manager, coordinator, graphics, editor, each person that you need to put a proposal together. We created a sort of a cell of specialists. Now then we said, how do we look at, we've spent 10 years perfecting this model. I started with 5,000, we're a multi-million-dollar company now. And we said, how do we now expand and give this model to other business consultants, proposal consultants who are out there, but you just don't have the ability to scale yourself. And that's why we created BidExecs, as you have the name brand of Proposal Helper, now BidExecs. You have the name brand. We are a known entity in the market. We do tremendous amount of marketing, so you don't have to invest time doing the marketing. You can focus on customer delivery. We are lead generating for you through webinars, through active advocacy that we are as a corporate involved in. We're doing all of that. So we then we said, let's leverage and bring in those independent entrepreneurs who want to get into the bid and proposal space, but just don't want to start from scratch. You're not starting from scratch as we did, and it took us 10 years to get here. You don't have to wait 10 years to get there. So that's the history and background. So Proposal Helper and BidExecs has an entire model, and Ben will tell you more about it as well, to provide business development and capture support for those of you who are interested in that side of the business, and then hand it over to those people who are interested only on the proposal side of the business. So the way BidExecs is structured is that you never lose the customer throughout the journey, from the time you help them identify the lead through completion of a proposal. They stay within the BidExecs family and the revenue structure. And we'll tell you more about it. So with that, I'll hand it over to why we brought Ben in to help us set up this model, because we set up Proposal Helper, but the franchising is a different game, and he's the expert in that field. So Ben, over to you now.
Thank you. Yes, really, franchising is built on the foundation of founders like Rena who have a really good business model, and they're able to get proof of concept and scale, and then leverage it. How do you grow? You know, for Proposal Helper to become a national brand, we have to open offices in 50 major cities around the country, rent space, hire staff. Because what's really missing in the space is consistency of customer experience, market by market. And so that's where franchising really shines. And so as Rena said, my background, my expertise is in franchising. I'm one of only a handful of people in the world that have a doctorate in franchising. Mine's from the University of Maryland. I also created and teach the executive education program at Georgetown University. It's a certificate in franchise management. Have CEOs from franchise companies all over the world that attend that program. It's twice a year. And so I see literally all of what's out there in the franchise space. I see everything from large retail through the commercial sector, service sectors, the fastest growing. And in looking at what Rena had accomplished with Proposal Helper, the size of the market, it was important to architect the right structure. So we're going to share that with you today. If you have any experience in franchising, it's likely at a single unit level, meaning, one owner who operates a Stone Cold Creamery or a Subway franchise. Increasingly, those are not the models. Increasingly, there are different models that are available. There's literally franchisors that have tiers where you would have a single unit owner, but you also have multi-unit owners. You might even have area developers or even master franchisees. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we architected this to scale for growth. So let me go ahead and move us along here and get into the structure of BidExecs. As we mentioned, why BidExecs? Leverage a global foundation that's already been built. Being able to rely on that infrastructure so you can start with a lower capital investment, yet operate way above your your fighting weight, as they say, and on a global scale. And so, Proposal Helper has clients all over the world. So this is not just, you have a local need in Atlanta, but there's some international connection to it. We have the ability to support that. The ability to start small and scale is really what's key in franchising today. The real Achilles heel for most people getting involved in franchising is the initial cost. If you're going to open up even a Subway franchise, you're talking $250,000. That's one location. That's one sandwich shop, right? And I was a consultant to Fred DeLuca, the founder of Subway. So I have significant details about how that franchise works. And I can tell you that at a $250,000 investment, I would tell you that on average, it's only going to produce about $80,000 a year. So most people that buy a Subway end up having to open 3 of them in order to generate enough revenue to make it worth doing. And that's where we have the multi-unit model developing. The attraction to be able to start small and scale to what it says, unlimited size. We literally mean that. There's really no limit to the size the business could grow to. If you're based in Charlotte and you start by yourself, with a small office, with a very modest investment, you could wake up operating a multi-million-dollar business in a few years. Probably not as long as it took Rena to build Proposal Helper. Because
and not any mistakes along the way and expensive mistakes that we have already learned from. So we have, you avoid all of those. Although when I say I started my business with $5,000, I have to remind there were lots of MBAs that we got along the way.
Exactly. I think the key, though, why BidExecs, it's really to leverage local sphere of influence with tools, resources, and support. So, we're not looking for the person who is trying to decide between a Subway franchise and a UPS store. They don't know the contracting space. They don't know how the government works. It's learning a foreign language. It's a totally new, and the learning curve to get through that is enormous, right? So finding people who understand that world and then allowing them to leverage our tools and resources is really what we're about. And it's really owning a franchise. You have your own business. It's your business. You can own it, you grow it, you can sell it. And I can tell you that in the market today, franchise businesses sell for exponentially higher values than the exact same business that's operated independently. If you have Phil's hamburger stand, it's going to sell for exponentially less than if you own a McDonald's. It's just the fact of the market. So this is why we think BidExecs is the right time and the right opportunity. So let's talk about the structure, because this is very unique, and I suspect that many of you may not have been exposed to this type of a architecture before. This is a fairly new architecture in franchising. It's one that I have used successfully with several other brands, but it's a two-tiered model. And in this case, it actually is two tiers that is bifurcated at the lower level, and I'll explain. So it starts with what we call an area director. This is one person who has responsibility for the BidExecs brand in a market. And when I say a market, there are 51 markets in the US with 1 million or more in population. So Charlotte, I mean, and there's multiple locations, you know, in the North Carolina area that are conducive to the area director model. And this person in that role is going to have the rights to that territory. And in that territory, they're going to primarily do two things. One is they're going to solicit and qualify franchisees, what we call growth services franchisees. These are the actual franchisees who are meeting with customers, performing services, providing support, actually doing the work. The area director, think about it like flying cover over a market, right? They're the ones going to build the brand. They're going to be speaking and they're going to be involved in events. They're going to be building the brand in the market by finding franchisees, qualifying them. They'll become franchisees of BidExec. And then secondly, they'll be providing support to them. What do they need to help them grow their business? We'll talk about the type of person we're looking for that role in a minute. The second tier is, as I mentioned, growth services franchisees. These are individuals that are already working in some level of government contracting, military. They understand how things work in that environment. Procurement managers are a really great fit, but these are folks who are going to be doing business development, calling on customers, and providing or giving them access to all of the services that are available under the BidExecs umbrella, much of which will be provided through our relationship with Proposal Helper. So you don't have to have a proposal manager when you start. You don't have to have a technical writer when you start. You don't have to have a graphics, department when you start. But you have access to multiple people in all of those categories to give you top-notch results for your clients. Over time, you will likely start building those assets in the local market. It's not that you just are kind of a front door for Proposal Helper. It's just to get you started with low capital and a high level of resources, but you will start to hire those people locally and build out your own team locally. And that's how we'll be able to scale across the country.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point to make, is that the intent here is not for us to have one person front, but you will be able to grow. So Proposal Helper right now is at 60 employees, and our primary market is the DC metro area. You can grow to that scale, and we want you to have your own set of employees. But there is always a time, if you're in government contracting, when you know that no matter how many employees you have, it's never enough because there's so much demand. So at that point, you can reach into the network of franchisees and say, I have one more proposal. Can I reach into the network and get help? Or I have this capture support I need. I don't have the right person. Who in my network of franchisees can help me? And that's where you have the force multiplier that you will get for your own business.
Exactly right. So let me dive a little deeper into these two segments because I want to make sure that we share with you the difference between these two. They're both critical components of growing this business. And again, as I mentioned, this is a model I have used successfully with other companies. At one time, I used this with ExxonMobil, and we ended up with 45 area directors with 1,000 convenience stores. And we did that in 4.5 years. So this is a very powerful model if you get the ingredients right. Part of the ingredients is the people. So the area director is going to be looking for qualified candidates in their exclusive territory. So if you're the area director in Atlanta, that's your market, and we want to get as many franchisees up and running in that market. It's a revenue share model, so you're going to make money on every franchisee that joins the system, and on all the revenue they generate, you'll be participating in that revenue. So most people that become aware of this model think about it like being a mini franchisor. Think about if you're the area director in Charlotte, you're like the mini franchisor of BidExecs in Charlotte. And again, without all the liability, without having to reinvent the wheel, we've already got everything prepared for you to do that. We just need the person in the market who's got the skills and the expertise and the influence. It's a 10-year agreement. We have renewal options. There's compensation, again, for each of the revenue streams that come in. And really what it boils down to is managing the brand and building. As the brand value grows in the market, the revenue of the area director is going to grow in the market. The key is quality franchisees, right? It's critical in franchising to be very diligent about your selection. Again, for the growth services franchise, these are folks who are going to be on the ground, meeting with clients, taking care of their needs. They have to understand the contracting space. They have to understand the proposal space. If we have to start with training them, it'll take too long, and it won't be nearly as efficient as if we leverage people who already have a working knowledge. Retired military understand this market. Government employees, there's a lot of folks in the government now that maybe are going through shifts, transitions. These are going to be people that are going to be attracted to this model and be a good fit.
And I just want to clarify there, Ben, is that we are going to provide training.
Absolutely.
In our processes. We have invested over multi-million dollars in all the tools that we have built to automate a lot of the manual processing that is done in the industry today. All those tools will be available to you. All the technology will be available to you. The training on how business development and proposals are done, even if you've been doing it for a while, if you're part of APMP or what have you, there are processes that we have perfected. All that training will be provided. But what Ben is alluding to is the learning curve for someone to absorb all that training coming from a restaurant industry will be much greater than someone who is a retired military, retired government officer, a procurement person who has been in the space and understands how procurement works. Those are the people who will be the most successful franchisees for us.
Certainly early stage, right? As we're building this, it's, if we want to hit the ground running and scale quickly, we don't need to explain to people what a FAR is. So what are the benefits? Number one, as I mentioned, because of the ability to scale the existing platform, you can start, backed up, or sorry, let me go back. You can start with a very low startup cost. I mean, one person as the area director, we're not going to have multiple area directors in a market as long as the area director is fulfilling their obligations. So one person, one office, literally no staff is necessary to start because you're going to be able to rely on our infrastructure and support. And the potential for rapid growth. It's really being there on the ground, meeting people, qualifying them, explaining the BidExecs franchise, getting them into the system, and then supporting them as they're growing their business. It's very simple, but it requires the right type of person. We're going to be there every step of the way, whether it's in training you on our systems and process, how to access the resources, how to go out and qualify candidates for a franchise. But it's important to note in this model, you're not taking on the legal liability of the franchising relationship. That still remains with BidExecs. We have the federal documents called the franchise disclosure document that we provide. We enter into the franchise agreement directly with them. So you're getting to act like a franchisor, but without the liability that's typically associated with it. So I think this is going to be an exciting and tremendous opportunity for the right person to really leverage their expertise, their sphere of influence, and build what could be a very, very successful business in a very short period of time. We're looking for candidates that have an existing knowledge of the contracting sector. I mean, certainly prior military, government contracting, state, education.
Any procurement department that you would have worked with. Because
Absolutely.
you also service a lot of commercial space. So it's
This would be, and if we have multiple candidates in markets, which we anticipate, just because we believe this is going to be a very compelling and attractive model, we just want to look and see who do we believe has the right passion for what we're doing to help others be successful, to support them in the market with their knowledge and expertise. We're looking for people who have a strong knowledge. We had someone contact us recently that said, hey, I'm moving to, Hoboken. Well, they may have some knowledge of contracting, but they're not going to have any knowledge of Hoboken. And so really, we'd love to have candidates who have both their knowledge in the contracting sector, but they also have local knowledge. They're involved with local FCA or APMA or other, associations, influence with people in the local community. I'm talking with a gentleman right now in another state that, retired military officer, very well connected in his community. Those kinds of influences would be a good leverage fits for the area director role. Financial ability, certainly, it is low cost because it can start with yourself and an office, but it's not no cost. We certainly want someone who, again, this is going to be your business, and we're looking for people who can invest in that business and grow it. And so this is a very attractive and affordable opportunity. And as I mentioned, we're only talking about 50 markets in the U.S. It's going to be a small group of people that are in this role throughout the country. Again, if we were going to grow the business by opening offices ourselves, we would go in and hire an area director. They'd be an employee, and they would manage that build out of that market. This is providing that opportunity through a franchise to someone who lives in that market, who wants to be in business in the contracting space. So let me switch to the growth services franchise opportunity, because this may be a better fit for some of you on the call, but it's also a key component of what the area director is doing. So growth services, the reason we refer to it as that is these are the people who are on the street actually providing the services, meeting with the clients, and moving through the business model. So we can have any number of growth services franchisees in a market because it's really not territory driven, it's relationship driven. When you get that client and they start working with you to help them with their proposal management, their contract management, their capture services, that's your client. That they should be with you for as long as you're in the business and as long as they're in business. So we can have multiple people working in the market because we want to grow the brand. We want to make it trusted. We want to make it the go-to, the industry standard. And so we'll have multiple franchisees in the market. We anticipate starting with what we call our business development growth services franchise, which is those people who are going to calling on potential clients, offering our value proposition and building out services for them. We likely will then have an opportunity for our proposal management growth services franchisee. These are franchisees who are actually doing proposal management services, proposal writing, technical writing, etc. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But it's a franchise offer that's 5 years to establish a foothold and start building out your business with renewal options, a very low franchise fee, an introductory training fee. And what we're looking for are people who are in the market, who have influence, maybe people who are independent contractor providing proposal services today and business development support. So there's any number of folks that would be attracted to this, that we would be attracted to in the North Carolina market. It's a low-cost startup. Again, can be one person with no staff, and then you add staff as you grow your business, which is really important. We want to scale up. We don't want you tethered indefinitely to the support that we can provide, because there's more money to be made once you scale up and have your own staff. You're going to keep more margin for yourself. And that way, you can start small but scale to an unlimited size. We're looking for people with local influence and connections. Maybe you already have a base of customers that you're working with. And we've actually talked to independent contractors who are already using Proposal Helper components, buying different products. And so that's really a natural. And as Rena said, we'll provide all the training and support that's needed to help you not only establish your business, but grow it, and increasingly providing that support through that area director who's in your market, not somebody coming out of Washington, D.C., but somebody that's already in your market building the business. As I mentioned, we have 2 tracks. The business development track, these are folks who understand the contracting business, military background, government background, local market knowledge.
Interject here and clarify. One of the things that Ben mentioned in the previous slide is, starting small and growing. And I have to tell you, in the government contracting space, whether it is federal, state, local, DODs, state, your education, ports, anywhere in that sector, when in the situation that we are in right now with the COVID, where a lot of the restaurants had to shut their door, the government has pumped so much money into the market that we are actually having to scale our business. And so there might be some of you who are turning business away because you just don't have the capacity to scale. And that's where being part of BidExecs becomes important, because when that additional business comes in, instead of turning business away, you reach out to your fellow franchisee, keep that business, but leverage their assets in other part of the country to help you out. Speaking of business development is where the companies, before they decide to even bid on something, they want experts who can identify and qualify the right leads for them. Where are these opportunities? And if you are in this business, you know that it takes a very special kind of person to do that, but it also takes a tremendous amount of resources to do it. If you try to do it all yourself, you'll be stuck behind a computer and not really doing what the client wants you to do. So we have put in very innovative systems in place. We are using robotic process automation. We have a team that can help you get started with finding and qualifying leads and opportunities. So as a business developer, you can help your clients grow versus you sitting behind the desk and doing a lot of the administrative things that business developers end up doing today. So I just wanted to put that note in there.
No, I think helping clients find good opportunities to go after is a great entryway to a long-term, very successful relationship with their clients. And that's an opportunity we've already got in place with resources to do that for you, which is, again, another part of the leverage of the package. The second track is proposal management. This may come into the market a little bit after we have the business development ginned up, but this is really providing those services in the proposal management, bid management, copyright, editing, technical writing, et cetera, all of those key pieces. Again, those can be provided through the back office, if you will, with Proposal Helper, but we want to have those embedded in the local market. So it's real time to market, real support, and it's localized. And so that'll happen over time. And we look forward to phasing in proposal management track franchisees as well. Just being cognizant of people's time. Just a couple of quick slides here. I know, Rena, if you'd like to make a couple of comments on this particular slide, it really points to the overwhelming market potential.
Yeah, so we, again, we pulled this up using USA spending and of course mapped it differently, but it is just a matter of seeing where is the government spending and how much money is there. These are government contractors going, and we just focused very narrowly on federal market space to get the spending dollars. And you can see the lowest is about $56 billion in any given state. The US government federal market is spending. This does not include DoD, state and local, the commercial market, the education, all the other sectors of the industry that spend on contracting. Just knowing that there are contractors going after these funds, everybody needs business development. They need help identifying where those opportunities are, and everybody then needs to close that deal with a proposal. So they need experts who know how to write winning proposals, and that's what you would be bringing as BidExecs, as part of the BidExecs family. That's what you'll be offering. But we need to update this chart. This is pre-COVID. It has spiked tremendously.
Yeah, the market it's really overwhelming. I mean, again, just another quick example, and there's so many segments to focus on. I mean, again, here's one on just small business in 2018. I mean, it's enormous. And from my perspective as a franchise architect, this is a completely disaggregated market. Nobody controls this market. Nobody owns this market. Nobody even has a fraction of a percent of this market. It's literally independents and small companies spread all over the place. The potential for building brand awareness and value that clients can rely on, I honestly, it's mind-boggling, quite frankly.
But as what you said, to aggregate that brand, and for you to walk into a Lockheed or a Raytheon and say, I'm part of BidExecs and we provide proposal development service, or you walk into your 8A, your local 8A, who are very savvy in the way they do business, instead of you saying I'm a one-person consultant, you say I'm part of 500-person BidExecs or X number of BidExecs executives that service. We are in every state and soon to be international as well, but we are in every state of the country. To be able to say that is extremely powerful. Your business card is your ticket to get into the door and close the deal, versus you saying, I'm a mom and pop proposal shop and I'd like to get your business.
Yeah.
There's a level of confidence that comes with being part of a bigger system, and that's what you will be part of.
Yeah, and then finally, just again, another quick, graphic about percentage that's being spent. The dollars that are at stake here is just
So
really.
on average, what this slide is trying to say is that on average, let's just assume that a company spends 0.1% of the bid value on their BNP, what we call BNP, right? The business development capture proposal services. On a bid, if the market is about $264 billion, I'm going to the last row, in that market, there's about $264 million worth of proposal services, business development and proposal services being acquired, whether the company is doing it with their own employees or majority of the time now they're all outsourcing it to companies like us. $264 million worth of services in that market are being outsourced. If you capture just 5% of that market, you are anywhere between $10 to $13 million in revenue each year. And we're talking each year of spend here. So, and again, as we said, this is just looking at federal numbers. We haven't even taken into account the state, local, and commercial spend that happens in these markets.
That's, another good point you make that's salient for potential franchisees is, what is the market going to look like 10 years from now, right? You could buy a Subway sandwich and they're under siege. They're closing more units than they're opening right now because the founder passed away. They've kind of lost their way and they're struggling, right? I mean, as Rena just said, this is every year. These contracts have to be put out. It's the process, right? This just goes on and on and on. there's nothing on the horizon to suggest this is going to slow down, lessen. At a minimum, it has to stay the same based on the way the process works. So to leave that 10 to 13 million on the table to be taken up or split up among a huge collection of independents or in-house, the opportunity is tremendous. And it's about building a recognized brand that, like you said, is a ticket to get in the door, to provide services that are cost effective and of the highest quality. So I guess, we'll do a little wrap up as we, want to open up and maybe look at some questions you might have. But, we would ask, are you ready for BidExecs? I mean, do you have expertise that we could leverage in the contract sector that could build a significant business? Do you see yourself as an early adopter? I mean, the cost of entry, a year from now will probably be higher as we have more proof of concept. We have more franchisees on board and grow. But we're looking for those people who are excited about being at the front end. Imagine if you could have bought one of the first Subway sandwich shops, how much money you would have made over the last 30 years, right? Take advantage of the infrastructure that day one, you get to play at the top level with this global network available to you to help you meet the needs of your customers. And really think about, what do you want the next decade to look like for you? Do you want to own your own business? Do you want to have control over what you do every day and how you do it and who you do it with? Is this the right time for you to make that kind of a change? So I'm safe to say we're excited about BidExecs and the opportunity here. We're excited about the interest that's out there, and we look forward to either
We'd love to get into North Carolina. So if you are a local North Carolinian, please reach out to us. Reach out to Ben. We have our BidExecs website. You can learn more there. BidExecs Franchising will tell you more and answer all your questions. But we certainly are very interested in learning about how you can be part of BidExecs and be part of this growing family.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think if you can go back to the, just real quick on how the area director, that circular graphic you had, just to explain one more time the two levels of franchise opportunities, how this works, that there is the area director revenue share and then the growth services. If you can recap that.
Yeah. I think this is a new model for most people who, whether they've ever looked into franchising or not, kind of this, or knowledge of franchising, this hybrid or tiered model. Again, one area director who is going to be in a major market, and they're going to be looking for and qualifying growth services franchisees to actually meet with the clients and provide the services, and building out that market with the full complement of infrastructure. So all of the services that we can initially provide and support you with from Proposal Helper, we want all of those to become resident in the local market over time.
Great. No, I don't have any other questions, Ben. There aren't any more that have come in, but we appreciate those of you who have participated today. And again, I'm just going to put up the slide here with Ben's contact information. So if you want to learn more, you're interested in talking more, please do reach out to him.
We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you all.